is the news at 10. Live from Channels Television. Reporting tonight, Ayotunde Balogun.
Hello and welcome. Tonight, Minister of Aviation and Aerospace Development Festus Keyamo directs the Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority to place Fuji musician Wasiu Ayinde Marshall, popularly known as Kwam1, on a no-fly list pending a full investigation. Emir of Kano Mohammed Sanusi calls for revival of textile industry, laments job losses from sector's collapse. Government industry leaders meet in Lagos to discuss deploying 90,000 kilometers fiber for national internet boost. And Trump and Putin agree to meet soon over Ukraine war as ceasefire deadline approaches.
And on business, Ministry of Finance Incorporated slashes payment from home ownership in the country from 20% to 10%.
On sports news tonight, Super Falcons coach Justin Madugu and goalkeeper Chiamaka Nnadozie make the 2025 Ballon d'Or shortlists.
And from Abuja, the coordinating Minister of Health and Social Welfare, Professor Mohammed Pate, says the administration of President Bola Tinubu is fully committed to ending tuberculosis in Nigeria by 2030.
This is not a scene from your popular movie, as you will see in just a moment, but an incident that happened live on Wednesday, August the 6th, 2025 at the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport in Abuja, which has now earned the protagonist severe penalties. Now, the Minister of Aviation and Aerospace Development, Mr. Festus Keyamo, has directed the Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority, the NCAA, to place a Fuji musician, Wasiu Ayinde Marshall, popularly known as Kwam1, on a no-fly list pending a full investigation. Now, the minister instructed all airlines, domestic and international, to comply immediately, warning that any operator who disobeys the directive risks suspension or withdrawal of their license. In a statement issued today, Mr. Keyamo referenced incident reports and video footage from an altercation between Kwam1 and Value Jet crew at the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport, Abuja. He described the situation as a temporary loss of sanity and control that could have led to serious consequences. Now, contrary to claims by Kwam1's representatives, Mr. Keyamo explained that the artist was seen repeatedly obstructing an aircraft on the tarmac, blocking it from taxiing. He also criticized the flight crew for attempting to move without first ensuring the tarmac was clear, calling it an unacceptable breach of protocol. Meanwhile, the Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority, the NCAA, says it has petitioned the Attorney General of the Federation and the Inspector General of Police to launch a thorough investigation into the incident involving the popular Fuji musician Wasiu Ayinde Marshall, popularly known as Kwam1, and Value Jet Airline. Now, according to a press statement by the NCAA's Director of Public Affairs and Consumer Protection, Michael Achimugu, actions by Mr. Wasiu on Tuesday, August 5th, at the Nnamdi Azikiwe Airport, Abuja, disrupted standard operational procedures and violates the Nigeria Civil Aviation regulations. While full details on the incident are still being compiled, the NCAA has emphasized the importance of upholding aviation safety standards and ensuring accountability, regardless of the parties involved. Now, the statement reads in part, quote, in a letter addressed to both the Attorney General and the Inspector General of Police, the NCAA called for a comprehensive criminal investigation and the initiation of appropriate prosecution in accordance with the provisions of the Nigeria Civil Aviation Regulations, CARS 2023, SOPRA, and all other laws applicable. Furthermore, the statement adds that the Director General of the Civil Aviation, Captain Chris Najamo, has also issued an advisory to the airline operators of Nigeria, urging the immediate consideration and institution of a no-fly list for Kwam1 on any commercial flight pending the outcome of official investigations. Still looking at the aviation sector, stakeholders continue to intensify calls for regulatory reforms and strategic partnerships to tackle long-standing industry challenges and reposition the sector for global competitiveness. At the high-level aviation conference held in Lagos, experts emphasized the urgent need for deeper collaboration among industry players to improve service delivery and operational efficiency. Our aviation correspondent, Dominic Iwiwu, now reports.
It's a gathering of key aviation stakeholders, professionals, investors, and government officials, united in the search for lasting solutions to Nigeria's aviation challenges. Top of the agenda is financing, evaluating risks, opportunities, and sustainable models. The message is clear. Boosting investment and fostering public-private partnerships are vital to revitalizing the sector and driving future growth. To revitalize Nigeria's aviation sector, the Aviation Safety Roundtable is urging serious attention to airline financing. According to the group, inadequate funding remains a major setback to the industry's growth and sustainability.
We should commend the present administration and the Minister of Aviation and Aerospace Development in the various efforts and strides towards making aircraft financing better than it was. You may recall that in one of the engagements that the Aviation Roundtable had, which has to do with air equipment, and of course recapitalization in the banking sector, is also sure to provide an avenue to further ease issues bordering on aircraft financing. There is also the Aviation Fund. Nigerian aviation sector could tap into that.
Guest speaker and economist Bismarck Iwani stressed the importance of involving financial institutions in supporting airlines. He outlined practical strategies airlines can adopt to access funding and stay afloat in the challenging economic environment.
Invest in local maintenance, repair and overhaul jobs. We need it. We need simulators. It takes about almost $25,000 to send a captain for simulator training for 3 weeks. Right? So we either send them to Addis Ababa or Johannesburg or Amsterdam. Right? Government should focus on policy and regulation, not running airlines, because even the ones that you can run properly. So, policy consistency is crucial for rebuilding trust, global investors, and attract global aviation capital.
As aviation continues to be a global economic driver, experts say Nigeria must turn conference insights into action, tackling local challenges to unlock the sector's full potential and contribute meaningfully to national development. Dominic Iwiwu, Channels Television News.
The 16th Emir of Kano, His Highness Muhammadu Sanusi II, is calling for a revival of Nigeria's textile industry, lamenting the loss of thousands of jobs due to the collapse of the sector. The former governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria made the remark during a tour of some textile companies in Kaduna alongside the Minister of State for Industry, Mr. John Eno. He identifies lack of power, inconsistent government policies and smuggling as major challenges facing the nation's textile industry.
Nigeria's textile industry has had a pretty wild history. Once a thriving sector, it's currently in decline due to factors such as smuggling, poor infrastructure. In the renewed efforts by the administration of President Bola Tinubu to revive the textile industry, the Minister of State for Industry leads the 16th Emir of Kano on a strategic tour to some collapsed textile factories in Kaduna. The tour forms part of the federal government's commitment to industrial revitalization, which prioritizes job creation, inclusive economic growth, and industrial development. The traditional leader, Sanusi, describes the state of the sector as worrisome.
If you have a country of 200 million people, you need growth in labor-intensive industries. You need manufacturing, you need agriculture. You're not going to create jobs for 200 million people in niche sectors, okay, at this point in time. I mean, services are important, but the reality is every country that has created jobs, every country that has created even development, every country that's alleviated poverty had to go through this this phase of protecting and promoting it in secondary sectors.
Previous administrations have made interventions in the sector, which has not yielded much improvement. However, the federal government is working on the revival of the sector.
This sector is not just about cotton anymore. It's also about the polyester and other combinations that add up to what it can be. So the idea is that in this renewed effort, that the mistakes of the past in terms of what the drawbacks were, what the challenges were, will all be tackled so that comprehensively it can get us the direction in terms of what we can achieve as a country. Now we believe that it's time for us to now go back and look at how we can continue to help that sector because the opportunities are there. And so BOI is standing ready, side by side with the federal ministry to make sure that we align our practices and processes with the policy requirements that will allow this whole industry to flourish once again.
According to the Federal Ministry of Industry, Nigeria had about 180 textile mills in the 1960s. The government is hoping that this latest effort will bring back the glory of the sector.
Protecting the nation's territorial integrity is one of the main objectives of the armed forces, provided the necessary working tools are made available. Now, the federal government is charging the Defense Industry Corporation to ensure that military hardware and other equipment produced in the country meet international standards. Now, speaking at the official unveiling of the headquarters of the corporation in Abuja, the Minister of State for Defense, Mr. Bello Matawalle, stated that the establishment of the Defense Industry Corporation is a strategic move aimed at tackling the challenge of arms procurement.
The fight against insurgency is receiving a new boost as service chiefs, security experts, and stakeholders converge for the official unveiling of the headquarters of the Defense Industry Corporation of Nigeria. The Minister of State for Defense, Mr. Bello Matawalle, is a special guest of honor, and he proceeds to unveil the headquarters. After the unveiling, the Director General of the corporation, Major General Babatunde Alaya, leads the minister and other guests on a guided tour of the complex. The need for Nigeria to take charge of producing arms and military hardware needed by the nation's armed forces is highlighted.
We will also commence producing DG-103 rifle, which is equivalent to AK-103 rifles, in the next 1 month. The raw materials for the production of this weapon is already in the country.
In recent years, the need for Nigeria to take charge of its defense manufacturing capacity has become more urgent and evident. Our geopolitical realities, security challenges, and economic aspirations compel us to look inward to develop, produce, and sustain the hardware that protects our sovereignty.
The efforts of DICOM receives commendation from the Chief of Naval Staff.
This initiative is a commendable one, and it is my belief that as we progress with this initiative, we will also be able to attract other industry players to come and team up in helping us to get rid of this monster of foreign procurement of our military hardware.
With the evolving global security challenges, the Minister of State for Defense harps on the need for the production of military hardware that meets international standards.
I must emphasize at this juncture that all items produced under the joint venture must be in compliance with international quality standards. All activities must also be under strict supervision of the Ministry of Defense, including local and international cells. I'm confident that with this caliber of leadership and talent assembled under this joint venture, success will follow.
The stakeholders are optimistic that the reliance on importation of arms will reduce drastically.
In part two, after the break, legal practitioners from the Southwest challenge governors and political leaders in the region to provide the much-needed leadership towards ensuring socio-economic development in the zone. Welcome back. If you've just joined us, you're watching the news at 10 on Channels Television, broadcasting live from Lagos. A reminder of our top stories. Minister of Aviation and Aerospace Development Festus Keyamo directs the Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority to place Fuji musician Wasiu Ayinde Marshall, popularly known as Kwam One, on a no-fly list pending a full investigation. Emir Muhammadu Sanusi calls for revival of textile industry, laments job losses from sector's collapse. Government industry leaders meet in Lagos to discuss deploying 90,000 kilometer fiber for national internet boost. And Trump, Putin agreed to meet soon over Ukraine war as ceasefire deadline approaches. Rapid urbanization and a significant housing deficit continues to drive real estate. But then the anti-graft agency, the EFCC, has its eagle eye placed on that sector. Now, the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission has revealed plans to intensify scrutiny of the real estate sector, targeting developers and other key players as part of a broader effort to curb money laundering and financial crimes. The EFCC chairman, Mr. Ola Olukoyede, disclosed this while delivering his keynote address at a policy dialogue on the critical issues affecting Nigeria's real estate ecosystem, insisting investigations will begin with the FCT Development Administration.
By virtue of the empirical evidence we have gathered and some of the things we have seen, statistics and our reports, we discovered that the issue of money laundering is very rampant among estate developers, extremely rampant, and also the stakeholders in the industry. Don't forget the legal principle of accessory before and after the fact. So if somebody steals money and uses it to buy property from you, and we trace that money to you, we will recover it from you. Yes. The trend I've noticed in Nigeria, the area of real estate development and business, is that a lot of people just go into it who know absolutely close to nothing about it. Everybody goes into real estate. The moment you are able to have access to small money, 100, 200 million, buy land, build house, and sell. Let us always understand that to every business, there is a rule, applicable rules. And it's extremely in the interest of the stakeholders that the rules should be followed. The difference between our country and other developed countries where things work is just of compliance.
An audacious step by the federal government to shaping the digital landscape, deepen connectivity and enhance industry players' operations has been unveiled by the Minister of Digital Economy, Bosun Tijani, in Lagos. At the stakeholders' engagement to provide clarity, structural design and critical requirements, the Minister says Project Bridge will deliver 90,000 kilometers of fiber infrastructure across the country. Our correspondent, Chris Leps, tells us more.
Thank you very, very much.
Guests in this room include senior executives and key decision makers representing internet service providers, data center operators, and the internet exchange points.
Thank you. Please be seated. Thank you very much.
The essence of this high-level engagement with the Minister of Communications, Innovation and Digital Economy, Bosun Tijani, is to create awareness about a major initiative by the government to impact the digital landscape. The Project Bridge is meant to deploy about 90,000 kilometers of fiber infrastructure across the country to tackle the inadequacies in the sector and unlock opportunities for the people.
We're not the sort of country with the opportunity to deliver 5,000, 10,000 kilometers of fiber optic cables in 2-3 years. It's not going to get us to where we need to be. And that's why, as a government, we've decided to invest alongside the appropriate partners from the private sector, 90,000 kilometers of fiber optic network for the country.
At the moment, the country has about 35,000 kilometers of existing network and added 90,000 by this proposed SPV network will be a huge leap. But what are the modalities?
Existing infrastructure right now goes to, in quotes, commercially viable places. This network will complement that infrastructure, will create resiliency of that infrastructure, okay, and will make the capillarity in Nigeria more robust and work better.
While arrangement for financing is ongoing, with the government taking up 49% of the SPV, industry players who are being invited to come on board seek clarifications.
That's one aspect we need to understand. Players will be able to acquire equity. Anyone that is truly interested is more than welcome to come to us, and we can share some of this information with you.
The impact of having a dependable digital backbone and the right connectivity in the next few years is huge, and the opportunity is enormous.
For instance, once you start to move out of cities like Lagos, Port Harcourt, you start to find that the cost of delivering internet services to people by the ISPs is outrageous. It's outrageous. Through this investment, we can drop their cost of doing business by 90%.
What we see as ATCON is the federal government trying to democratize access to all Nigerians, and not just to Nigerians, to also enable local participation in the industry.
In the current dispensation, data is life and connectivity is paramount to the success of any business. And with the deployment of 90,000 kilometers of fiber optics, definitely data will be made available to a lot of people. And that is more money in the pockets of every Nigerian. From Lagos, Chris Alems, Channels Television News.
Members of the bar from the southwest region of Nigeria, under the auspices of Egbe Amofi-Oduah, have challenged governors and political leaders in the region to provide the much-needed leadership towards ensuring socio-economic and political development, justice, equity, and fairness in the region. They made the call in Abeokuta during the day two of its annual general conference held in Ogun State. That's the Abeokuta, the state capital. Now, they also called for the enthronement of the rule of law, mutual cooperation among the 6 states to help increase the empowerment and capacity of the region's security outfit, the Amotekun, for effective and better policing.
It's no surprise that the gathering has attracted eminent personalities, including former Attorney General and Minister of Justice, Chief Akin Olujimi, renowned human rights lawyer Femi Falana, senior legal professionals from the 6 southwestern states, and the Are Ona Kakanfo of Yoruba land, Gani Adams, among other distinguished guests. Delivering his key address on the theme, Regional Justice, Security and Sustainable Development, Chief Akin Olujimi expressed his concern over the slow pace of development in the country and calls for deliberate policies aimed at achieving sustainable economic growth, poverty alleviation, and social advancement.
These fundamental objectives and directive principles, no doubt, provide a clear pathway and guidance for our governments in terms of policies and programs of governance for the good of the people. What can we really say? That the governments of both at the national and state levels are paying fidelity to these objectives.
During the panel session, Femi Falana and other legal luminaries raised concerns over insecurity, the decline in education standards, and the effect of poor governance across the region. They emphasized the urgent need to confront these issues decisively.
Compulsory Free Education Act, UBEC Act. There is no state in the southwest that is up to date in terms of accessing the matching grant from Abuja.
Let us be focused about the fact that it's not about my party, it's not about me, it's about my region. I want security for my region, so I'm going to make sure I get the good people that are committed to securing the society.
Other speakers advocate for the implementation of true federalism and the creation of state police forces as vital steps towards ensuring regional stability and effective governance.
Authorities of government, but the federal government is assuming the role of an octopus, dictating everything, capturing the state, capturing the local government, whereas it should not be.
The event concludes with a recognition award presented to Chief Akin Olujimi in appreciation of his outstanding support and continued contribution to the growth and progress of the association.
The federal government has reiterated its commitment to pulling more Nigerians out of poverty with its people-centered programs. Speaking in Abuja at the official launch of the Youth Cred, a program initiated by the Nigerian Consumer Credit Corporation, Credit Corp, the Minister of Youth, Mr. Ayodele Olawande, assured the public that the scheme will not only benefit core members, but the youth in general.
The orientation camp of the National Youth Service Corps in Kubwa, Abuja, is hosting the official launch of the Youth Cred, a program designed to give youths access to single-digit interest loans. The program is initiated by the Nigerian Consumer Credit Corporation, Credit Corp, and the managing director explains the operations of the scheme.
What is Youth Cred? Youth Cred is a program that's specifically targeted at young people to allow them to first understand credit. That credit is a good thing. And if you learn how to manage finances and plan your income, you can access money today at almost a very cheap interest rate.
9 billion naira has been set aside for the scheme in the first phase, and the primary targets are the members of the National Youth Service Corps.
A youth must have at least 2 skills starting from the camp, and which is going to lead us very soon, in a couple of years, to one local government, one product. The President Bola Ahmed Tinubu created Youth Cred to support the dream of our future. Now we are not thinking about today anymore.
We provide core members with additional financial support, cultural exposure, and welfare opportunities to professionally and for professional skills development that helps them to better contribute to national development.
Some of the core members speak on the scheme.
It is coming at a time when it's needed most in Nigeria. The youth are really in a hard stage currently, but then they have become smarter. So this will become very handy in making them develop the plans they have and ensuring that they are economically stable.
I've been joining all youth to come out en masse and register, especially core members, because this is an initiative that will help all core members to get credit from the government, which will facilitate their businesses.
So what we use it to borrow to improve and increase your financial stability, which can use to improve your businesses.
The scheme also allows young people who access the loans to build their credit history in order to access higher loans over a period of time. Delia Moyeni, Channels Television News.
Dangote Petroleum Refinery and Petrochemicals has commenced the phased receipt of the 4,000 compressed natural gas powered trucks, an integral part of its ambitious fuel distribution logistics program set to start on August the 15th, 2025. Now, the initiative aims to transform the fuel distribution landscape within Nigeria by reducing logistics costs and enhancing supply efficiency for customers, which is environmentally friendly, as it is powered by CNG, supplied by an indigenous partner firm, Tetracore Energy Group. The fleet of fuel tankers represent a significant capital investment estimated at 720 billion naira, which underscores the company's commitment to pioneering innovative solutions as the world's largest single-train refinery continues to expand its operational capabilities. In June this year, Dangote Petroleum Refinery revealed a landmark investment exceeding 720 billion naira to deploy the 4,000 CNG-powered trucks across the country. This bold initiative, according to the company, is projected to save Nigerians over 1.7 trillion naira annually in fuel distribution costs, expected to significantly benefit over 42 million micro, small and medium enterprises by lowering energy costs and improving profitability, and Dangote's broader commitment to eliminating logistics bottlenecks, Nigeria's economic development, and create over 15,000 direct jobs across the logistics value chain and help curb cross-border smuggling of petroleum products. The initiative has also received presidential endorsement and widespread industry praise, including the Presidential Compressed Natural Gas Initiative and the Independent Petroleum Marketers Association of Nigeria, known as IPMAN. Still ahead on the news at 10. Our Ministry of Finance Incorporated Real Estate Investment Fund slashes payment for home ownership from 20% to 10%. That's on Business News. Please join us again. Welcome back. Let's now head to the nation's capital, and Gloria Mizoke is standing by to give us the latest from our Abuja studios. Hello, Gloria.
Thank you, Ayo. Here in Abuja, the Coordinating Minister of Health and Social Welfare, Professor Mohammed Pate, says the administration of President Bola Tinubu is fully committed to ending tuberculosis in Nigeria by 2030. Speaking during the commissioning of new tuberculosis diagnostic machines at the Primary Healthcare Center in Dutse, Abuja, Professor Pate emphasized that the government is mobilizing all necessary instruments to fight the disease. Professor Pate also commended Nigeria's First Lady, Mrs. Oluremi Tinubu, for donating to the expansion of access to TB diagnostics across Nigeria.
The Minister of Health, Professor Mohammed Pate, flanked by the wife of the Governor of Kwara State, Mrs. Olufolake Abdulrazak, arrived at Dutse Makaranta Primary Healthcare Center for the official commissioning of TB diagnostic machines donated by Nigeria's First Lady, Mrs. Oluremi Tinubu. The gesture by the First Lady is considered a testament of her resolve to end tuberculosis by 2030.
It is promise made, and it is promise kept. Her Excellency promised, donated 1 billion naira in 2024 and again 1 billion naira in 2025. And she has delivered decisively on those promises to see that Nigeria ends TB by 2030, and as we have heard by today. From the Federal Ministry of Health, we are working hard under the direction of the President to ensure that drugs, other tests, the human resources are available, and integrating TB care into the primary healthcare system.
The chairman of the Nigeria Governor's Wives Forum, Mrs. Olufolake Abdulrazak, represented Nigeria's First Lady at the event. She reinforced the administration's unified approach to addressing major health challenges.
As the global and national champion for TB, I assure you I will continue to advocate and lead the fight to end TB in Nigeria by 2030. I commend the Coordinating Minister of the Federal Ministry of Health and Social Welfare for his steadfast commitment to revitalizing Nigeria's health system and advancing the national TB response.
The Minister of State for the FCT, Mrs. Mahmoud Maria, thanked the First Lady for the donation and hopes the facility will reduce the TB mortality in the FCT.
This is really augmenting and complementing what we've been doing in FCT, to improve the health status and the quality of life of our people in FCT in general.
Officers following them, please. The machines are then unveiled. The commissioning of the new TB machines is considered a significant step towards enhancing healthcare services, improving TB control, and ensuring accessible healthcare for all in the Federal Capital Territory. From Abuja, Victoria Longchon, Channels Television News.
Governor Hyacinth Alia of Benue State has received victims of kidnapping who were rescued by troops of the Nigerian Army in the Zankara axis of the state. The governor received the victims at the government house in Makurdi, the Benue State capital. Governor Alia promised to support the victims and then united them with their families. Now, 3 of the victims are travelers from Taraba State, 2 from Cross River State, 2 from Ebonyi State, 1 from Enugu State, and 3 from Benue, including 2 police officers.
We thank God that this day, having spent quite some time under the armpit of those terrible human beings, those bandits, those kidnappers. We thank God that some operation was carried out at the Sankara axis and you were rescued. I want to thank you so much for your resilience, the energies you derived while in captivity, and the hope you hang onto for this day to come. Our hearts are with you and your families. The operatives in the state will continue to work so hard to ensure that we get rid of experiences like you went through. And this is why they continue to move all over the states, will continue to get rid of the bad eggs within the state.
The federal government has unveiled a multifaceted strategy to address the funding gap for humanitarian challenges in the country following the partial suspension of operations by the World Food Programme in northeastern and northwestern Nigeria. The plan includes emergency funding, support for smallholder farmers, cash transfers to vulnerable households, and collaboration with the private sector and international partners. The disclosure was made by the Minister of State for Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Reduction, Dr. Yusuf Sununu, during a news conference in Abuja. According to the minister, over 575,000 vulnerable individuals risk being left without food assistance by September, following funding shortfalls that forced the World Food Programme to scale down operations. Dr. Sununu also announced that the government is finalizing an empowerment program for farmers across 21 states, providing collateral-free and interest-free loans to boost local agricultural production and reduce dependence on foreign food aid.
The federal government considered emergency funding to augment government effort to bridge the gap created by suspension of Activity 1 of country's strategic plan of World Food Programme. The World Food Programme has 5 outcome-based activities. And Activity 1, which is emergency food transfer, is one that is affected, and it constitutes almost 70% of World Food Programme's activity in Nigeria. Therefore, government is going to special intervention fund to augment the already programs that are ongoing so as to bridge the gap created by this. Intervention is to provide sustainable solution, implement a sustainable solution to address food insecurity, such as supporting local agriculture. And this, the ministry has already reached an advanced stage in preparation for the government and enterprises and empowerment program, which is giving soft loan to farmers, and we are targeting over 21,000 farmers nationwide, and each will receive a soft loan, which is collateral-free and interest-free of 300,000. We're also promoting nutrition-sensitive agriculture through education and enhancing resilience to climate change.
Well, that's it from the nation's capital. It's over now to Ayo in Lagos.
Many thanks, Gloria. Back here in the nation's commercial capital, the Lagos state government has called for calm in the Ijede part of Ikorodu over the recent flooding in that area. Now, the Lagos State Special Advisor on Environment, Mr. Olakunle Rotimi Akodu, who visited the area, assures those affected of completing the ongoing drainage project to prevent a recurrence.
Top government officials from the Lagos State Ministry of Environment and Water Resources, alongside Ministry of Special Duties and Intergovernmental Relations, visit flooded areas in Ijede axis of Ikorodu. They are here to assess the extent of damage caused by the heavy downpour earlier in the week. The construction of the outfall channels for the ongoing Berigbe-Ijede Road project has been attributed to the cause of the flood within the community, and some of those affected are yet to recover from the incident.
At the prompt of the viral video, government came to, they gave a response, and a prompt one. I really appreciate that.
The project was never abandoned. I can also attest to that maybe it's slow in pace. But with this visit, I'm very confident that the contractor is also going to speed up the project to make sure that this type of occurrence do not reoccur again.
The team moves around the affected areas from Okeletu Road, Abule Eko Community, Drain Project in Ijede, where work is ongoing. And the state government explains that the area is a low-lying field, but assures residents that the drainage work will be completed in the next 6 months.
What we are doing here is just to ensure that we capture the water right from the source, to make sure that in the next 6 months or thereabouts, we should be able to come back here and say that we have been able to solve this. As I said, we are solving drainage issues block by block, incrementally. So we want to make sure that we will resolve this and then we move to the next stage.
Even as government sympathizes with the victims, giving assurance of immediate intervention, it also wants citizens to practice proper hygiene.
We need to talk to them about attitude, making sure that they don't encroach on the right of way of infrastructures, to make sure that they don't empty their waste in all of those drains, and not to see rain as a conveying agent or their own PSP.
What we are saying is that they should be calm, that the Lagos State government is so much interested in its citizen, and that whatever thing that is needful to be done, we are going to do that as a government. And that's what we are responsible for, because we are responsible for the safety and security of all Lagosians.
As we experience more rainfall, the Lagos State government reaffirms its commitment to ensuring the safety of residents and delivering critical infrastructure to mitigate future flooding risk.
Will Bong is standing by to give us the very latest in the world of business. Will.
Thank you, Ayotunde. In a landmark decision aimed at making homes more accessible to Nigerians, the Ministry of Finance Incorporated Murphy Real Estate Fund has slashed down the payment for home ownership from 20% to 10%. Now, this major policy shift, part of the federal government's renewed hope agenda, means more Nigerians can now buy homes with longer repayment periods of up to 20 years at a fixed mortgage rate of 9.75%. According to the new plan, buyers can also use funds from their pension accounts to cover the down payment. Murphy CEO Dr. Armstrong Katang says the move breaks down a major barrier to owning a home, as this step opens the door to a more secure future for millions of families. Now, let's see, a state of emergency should be declared in the Nigeria's industrial sector to fast-track its growth and development, and that's the view of Dr. Olusegun Omishakin, the chief economist at the Nigerian Economic Summit Group. Next, speaking on Business Morning, he also stressed the need for targeted orientation across various subsectors of the economy.
Our orientation, our attitude, is a pro-development. For instance, look at the educational system. Are we structuring that towards making sure that people are growing toward developing the system? Look at China. China will not just tell you they need money to develop anything. You will see in their body language as a nation. If you look at our labor market, we have more than 90% of our workers, labor force, in informal sector. That is a signal that we don't need, for now, we don't need those big documents. We need to look at what is happening there. Even for the orientation, how do we orientate people about education and the need for the role of STEM in development? How do we make sure that people that we have outside there are educated? The basis of development starts with knowledge, understanding. And that is education. If we have this current structure, look at JAM pass rate, look at WAEC pass rate, those are fundamentals. If we have this, taken care of as a direction, national direction, not just what we put in that budget year in year, national direction, then the issue of whether we are going to be industrialized, inclusive growth, or infrastructure, all these things will just, work out. So I believe so fundamentally that as a nation, we need to declare a state of emergency on the issue of industrialization.
And it's still an emergency at the NGX as the bulls are still in control as stocks continue to rally. Laddie Williams tells us more.
The hyperdrive rally continues in Nigeria's stock market, but with less volume and value of trades compared to yesterday. But look at the sectors now. The bulls are not letting go of insurance stocks today. Just Sunu Assurances didn't get the right attention, with that one shedding about 2.63%. But all the other insurance stocks closed in the green. So we have another big 9.16% uptick there. We see the other financial services sector there trying to also join that rally, but just 0.20%. But consumer goods firmly in the green there, 4.08%. There with investors keeping the BOA company, but this time shifting from cement to its food business. So the rally continues for the 27th consecutive day.
Thank you, Laddie. Let's see the performance of other major stock markets around the world. And that's a wrap on business news. It's back to Ayotunde for the rest of the news at 10.
Many thanks, Will. Simon Pusey is up next with Around the World in 5 from our London studio.
Good evening and welcome to the channel's studios here in London with your international news around the world in 5. A Kremlin aide has said US President Donald Trump and Russian President Vladimir Putin have agreed to meet in the coming days. It follows Mr. Trump saying there was a good chance he could meet his Russian and Ukrainian counterparts together in person very soon to discuss ending the war in Ukraine. Mr. Trump's deadline for Russia to agree a ceasefire in Ukraine or face more sweeping sanctions is due to expire on Friday. A possible meeting between Trump and Putin would follow U.S. envoy Steve Witkoff holding talks with the Russian president.
There's a very good prospect that they will, and we haven't determined where, but we had some very good talks with President Putin today, and there's a very good chance that we could be ending the end of that road. That road was long and continues to be long, but there's a good chance. Thousands of young people dying, mostly soldiers, but also, missiles being hit into Kiev and other places. But in terms of soldiers, I think Russia's lost over 20,000 since the beginning of the year. 20,000.
Ghana's ministers of defense and environment have died in a military helicopter crash in the central Ashanti region, along with 6 other people. Images purportedly showing the charred remains of the helicopter are circulating on social media. The authorities have not confirmed the cause of the crash. Defence Minister Edward Omane Boma and Environment, Science and Technology Minister Ibrahim Murtala Mohammed were killed in the crash, which Chief of Staff Julius Deborah described as a national tragedy. It had taken off from the capital Accra just after 9 a.m. local time and was heading to the town of Obuasi for an event to tackle illegal mining. A woman has been arrested in the US on suspicion of posing as a registered nurse. A police investigation was launched after hospital bosses terminated Autumn Bardisa's contract due to concerns about her qualifications. Investigators found the 29-year-old had provided medical services to 4,486 patients, despite a total lack of qualifications. Bardisa was employed by Advent Health Palm Coast Parkway in Palm Coast from July 2023 to January 2025.
Are wanting a job so bad that you would manipulate a system and assume somebody's identity to be able to practice. You went to school, but you failed the exam.
South Africa's state prosecutor has officially withdrawn charges against one of the farm workers accused of killing 2 black women and feeding their bodies to pigs. Adrian de Wet was one of 3 men facing murder charges after Maria Macgato and Lucia Delovu were killed while allegedly looking for food on a pig farm in South Africa's northern Limpopo province last year. Their bodies were then allegedly given to animals in an apparent attempt to dispose of the evidence. The French Prime Minister says a huge, deadly wildfire sweeping through the south of France is a catastrophe on an unprecedented scale. Wildfires have scorched an area larger than Paris in one region. It's thought the wildfire is linked to global warming and drought. 2,150 firefighters continue to tackle the blaze, which has burnt more than 15,000 hectares. The fire broke out on Tuesday near the village La Ribaute. Officials say it's France's biggest wildfire since 1949. Apple plans to boost investment in the US by another $100 billion as the tech giant comes under pressure from President Donald Trump. The White House said the money would be used to encourage firms to make more Apple parts in the US and would add to the company's previous pledge to spend $500 billion in the US over 4 years. It comes after Trump singled out Apple by name earlier this year, threatening to raise tariffs on its products if it did not move iPhone manufacturing to the US.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Apple chief executive Tim Cook last week referenced the company's earlier commitment and said it was looking to do more as it tries to avoid a wave of tariffs poised to hit its products. And Rome has been given final approval to a €13.5 billion project to build the world's longest suspension bridge connecting the island of Sicily to the region of Calabria. The designers claim the bridge, which is due to be built on one of the most seismically active areas in the Mediterranean, will be able to withstand earthquakes. It is the latest attempt by Italian officials to launch the Messina Bridge after many attempts which have so far failed.
And that's your international news around the world in 5. Now back to the channel's studios in Lagos.
Many thanks indeed, Simon. Welcome to Sports News. Nigeria Super Falcons' record 10th Women's Cup of Nations trophy in Morocco have not gone unnoticed, as goalkeeper Chiamaka Nnadozie and coach Justin Madugu have both been shortlisted for this year's Ballon d'Or. Nnadozie has been shortlisted for the Women's Yashin Trophy for Goalkeeper of the Year alongside England's Hannah Hampton, Spain's Cara Cole, and Katrin Berger of Germany and Daphne Van der Lesser of Holland. WAFCON winning coach Madugu will battle England's Serena Wegman, Brazil's Arthur Elias, Arsenal's Rene Sledgers and Sonia Bompasser of Chelsea for the Women's Johan Cruyff Trophy. In the meantime, Super Falcons defender Ashley Plumter believes accomplishing Mission X can inspire the team to keep winning. An exclusive conversation with Channels TV at the Nigeria House in London, Plumter says the country must now look beyond this success and work towards retaining the trophy in 2026.
Honestly, just being there for the week of celebrations was incredible. I've only been to Nigeria for football camp, so to experience going, obviously, as a winner alongside the team, seeing some of my family, being able to be in Abuja and in Lagos as well and celebrate in both places was something that whole week will stay with me for the rest of my life. When you're successful, there's a lot of attention when you've won, but then it's the what next, and then sustaining it has to then infiltrate down into academy systems, into the setup in Nigeria. How can we make these opportunities more accessible to young people?
With that sports, I'm Kelly. Again, guys, back to you today.
And the main news again. The Minister of Aviation and Aerospace Development, Mr. Festus Keyamo, today directed the Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority, the NCAA, to place Fuji musician Wasiu Ayinde Marshall, popularly known as Kwam One, on a no-fly list pending a full investigation. That's the news at 10 tonight. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Ayo Tunde Balogun, and do have a good night.